We okay? Well, let's call the meeting to order. This is the special meeting of the Dunn County Planning Resource and Development Committee on Thursday, June 13th. Looks like we have 4 of the 5 committee members here, so we have a quorum. I don't think, Gary, nobody can, okay. Approval of the minutes from May 15th. Could I have a motion?
I move approval.
Is there a second? Any questions, additions, corrections? Seeing no suggestions, all in favor say aye. Of approval, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, say no. So the minutes are approved. Any public comments? Anything come in, Tom? Nothing. Okay. Staff reports? No, none. Items by the chair, none. Consideration of actions, none. We have 2 special items today, which is why we're meeting. So with that, I will ask Chase Cummings to lead us through the discussion.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming together somewhat last minute. But this is a somewhat of a time-sensitive matter regarding potential acquisition of the Chippewa River Trail. This is a topic that's been somewhat in discussion for quite some time, but has really gained some traction in the last couple months. And it has to do with the fact that NSP or Xcel Energy own the corridor of the Chippewa River Trail that basically extends from the Trestle Bridge where the Red Cedar Trail meets the Chippewa Trail in southern Dunn County all the way into Durand. And they're looking to divest in that property as they have with a number of their other properties in the area. They've approached both counties, particularly started with Pepin County, but then brought us in and basically giving us the opportunity to acquire this property in order to maintain it as a public asset. We looked at a couple of opportunities through grants that we as counties could apply for, and the timing to get those submitted this year just was too short and didn't allow for that to take place. So we reached out to Landmark Conservancy, given the fact of the type of work that they do, and they're able to assist us in applying for some additional grant funds that they are eligible for and we not necessarily would be eligible for. So the topic for today is primarily to give the approval to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Landmark Conservancy and Pepin County to pursue a Knowles and Nelson Stewardship Fund to support the acquisition of this property. As you might have seen in the packet and in some of the background information, that grant opportunity can supply up to 50% of an appraised value for the property. Dunn County has approximately 1.5 miles. We're estimating that the appraised value would be around $4,000, and therefore the grant would match that at $2,000. It is our understanding at this point in time that Xcel Energy would be willing to sell it at $2,000 an acre. So the opportunity is there where we could acquire this property at very little cost. The cost that we might expect to incur would be hard practices such as title work, closing costs, things like that, of which would be split with Pepin County as well. So it's hard to say the exact cost at this time. If the appraisal comes in at a different value, then the 50% match would be affected, and we'll need to reconsider that. But the request before you at this point is for approval to enter into this MOU with Landmark and Pepin to pursue this effort. So I'd be happy to do more questions and show and tell.
Any questions?
Well, my only question was about Landmark, since they essentially have a lot of that property from Tyrone, basically. They didn't express any interest in purchasing it themselves. That's the only thing that made me curious about this.
Yeah, not at this time. I mean, we had a couple meetings with them, and it's not. They certainly want to keep it and see it in public ownership and public access, I should say, but they weren't necessarily interested in taking that on as their sole owner of it. They would like to turn it over to us and then have us work through any maintenance and things like that in the future.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
And just to be, I guess, maybe somewhat clear as to why this is coming to all of you, it's because of me and having been tasked with taking on the task of this whole topic, since I have some familiarity with Pepin County side of things and that trail. So I agreed to work through this, and you're my oversight committee. So here we are.
Supervisor Canoe.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is the section from just across the river bridge there into Durand.
I can share my screen quick if you don't
Yeah.
mind, Tom.
And we would be responsible for maintaining the 1 or 1.5 miles that we have there. Is that correct?
So at this point in time, those details certainly haven't been set in stone, but let me get my right screen here. I apologize. Here we go. So right now, that section of trail from Durand to the Trestle Bridge. So as I can show you on this is a Chippewa River Trail map. Here's the Red Cedar Trail on the left, comes across the Chippewa River, and that's the Chippewa River Trestle Bridge. From that point here, all the way into Durand, and you can see the county line here. Maybe I can, yeah. That portion is all maintained by Pepin County and has been ever since, I guess, agreements were made between Pepin County and NSP at the time to pave that trail and keep that trail open. So that portion is currently maintained by Pepin County Highway Department. And that would be something of discussion should this acquisition go through, how we would want to come to an agreement with that, with Pepin on that sort of thing. Logistically, it's not very convenient for us to maintain. So I guess I would hope that we could have a longer conversation with Pepin about what that might cost and what that entails. But yeah, basically it's a 6.5 mile stretch of trail that we can, from that point, from that county line all the way down would be Pepin's portion, and then we would have 1.5 miles. That's Dunn County's portion.
May I?
Yeah.
So who's maintaining the trail, like from that point where the Red Cedar ties in to the northeast?
Yeah, so that's all maintained by the state. The state actually operates that and maintains that, as well as the Red Cedar Trail. So
Oh.
certainly there's volunteer groups that support that, but basically everything you see on that map is state maintained and owned.
Okay.
And yes, that I expect that question too of, well, is the state interested in taking on the 6.5 miles? And at this point, that isn't, no one's showed any interest in that, so.
So it seems pretty reasonable to think that somebody else might be able to maintain it, but it's also not a sure thing. So,
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I just think for the potential amount of money that we're investing in a pretty significant, shared resource, this sort of seems to me like a no-brainer. I'm supportive. I mean, I'm sure there will be issues, but relatively minor, I should think.
Yeah, I agree.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Chase, what level of development does the trail that Pepin looks after have versus what we're contemplating?
So the entire portion from that Trestle Bridge area, so everything that we're contemplating right now that Excel would be selling, our portion and Pepin County's portion is all paved trail. The remainder of this entire network until you get into Eau Claire is all gravel, crushed limestone.
I guess to follow up on my question, I was just wondering, at some point, I imagine you'll have a cost figure, to get us up to snuff or, whatever it would be. So that's what I'd be interested in. The ongoing cost, to get you where you want to be. Thank you.
So that is paved now. Oh, well.
Yeah, I was on it a week or two ago and it's quite nice. So there, well, you have to upkeep any kind of blacktop, but it's in good shape.
And if I could offer to my experience with it when I worked in Pepin County, there was a number of different supporters from Duran Sportsman's Club to other entities that help fund and support the pavement of that trail in the first place, and then some upkeep after that. But basically vegetative management, crack sealing, filling, that sort of thing, the highway department is doing for Pepin County Highway Department. So.
And is it also a bike and hiking trail there exclusively?
Yes, and then in the wintertime, it is a snowmobile trail as well.
Oh, it is, okay.
And you can imagine Duran's probably quite interested in us moving forward this too, just because if 1.5 miles is sold off
Yeah,
into private ownership, it would be a different animal.
It's a real asset to them for sure. Any other questions? Motion to support the MOU. And a second from Mr. Kinnear. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The MOU is approved. Item B, Land and Water Conservation Division Budget Adjustment Request.
As long as I had you
Sneaking
here.
This one in, Sarah.
Yeah, so this is, I've talked about the multi-discharger variance program in the past. It's funds that municipalities through their wastewater treatment facilities or private industries that have a wastewater treatment facility that discharge phosphorus to surface water. They need to reduce their phosphorus discharge. And in doing so, they need typically some sort of large expense. And this is a way to basically buy some time and a variance for that those funds get put into the watershed through a non-point program versus a point source program. And the non-point runoff program trickles down to us at the counties to implement conservation practices that reduce phosphorus within the watershed of which the money is generated. We typically don't have a good estimate from the state of what we're going to receive at budget time. So we budgeted $10,000 for 2024. We also did a carry forward from funds from 2023 into 2024. And then we received all the money and we ended up where our budget is about $7,000 less than what revenue we actually received. So we just need to adjust our budget to account for the actual revenue received. And that's where the $7,842 comes in. So this will make the books look good.
Any questions? Motion to approve? Supervisor Renner?
Second.
And a second. All right, all in favor? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And that's approved also. Thank you.
You keep us posted on the trail. I think that's a good idea.
Thanks for coming in.
While we don't have any other agenda items, is there anything that of a unrelated matter that the committee would like to discuss while we're still in session? Our future meeting date is June 19th. And with that, I guess we're adjourned. You sat in on our shortest meeting in the entire history of the committee.